So now AIPAC has decided that they are not only going to go after Ilhan Omar, they're actually going to go after Ilhan Omar, Rashida Tlaib, and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Now, this is according to a report put out by the New York Times. In the article, they say in Florida, Mr. Fisk, who is a member of AIPAC and is from South Florida, he said that it was time for quote unquote pro-Jewish voices to speak up about Mrs. Omar and the other two Democratic freshmen who have been critical of Israel. Representative Rashida Tlaib of Michigan and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez of New York. And he offered a prediction, quote unquote, they are three people who, in my opinion, will not be around in 7 years or in several years. That's problematic because now, correct me if I'm wrong, the whole argument being made against Ilhan Omar is that money from Israel via lobbies is not used to prop up candidates, prop up a message, to let Israel's government skate by with human rights atrocities. That money isn't being used for politics. That's what they say. That politicians are not at all influenced by the resources and finances of AIPAC and other Israeli lobbies. So I have a question, Mr. Fisk. Now, this just could be me being naive, but how exactly are you going to get them out of Congress? Because although the dinos, if you will, the senior Congress people may not like AOC, Rashida Tlaib, or Ilhan Omar's comments regarding Israel, I'm interested to know how that's different from every other issue that they don't see eye to eye with those three women. Those women already don't like, or those women are already not liked by the majority of the Democratic Congress people because those Congress people are neoliberal and they're not. That's kind of the whole thing between them. They keep trying to put Nancy Pelosi beside them, but it doesn't make her any more progressive or any less neoliberal. They have always been at odds. So it's not like their unpopularity in Congress is going to stop them from winning back office. So what exactly are you planning on doing, Mr. AIPAC lobbyist, sir? Could it be that you plan on spending money? You plan on spending money to influence political outcomes via your very influential lobbying group that so happened to be called AIPAC, that Ilhan just so happened to call out for doing just that. You can't make this stuff up, people. Think about that. Their whole argument against Ilhan Omar is that she is associating money with political support. We can even ignore the country. That's their whole problem. They say, oh, you shouldn't say that there's some type of dual loyalty because of money that flows into certain politicians via favors, financial support, or otherwise. But then this person, Mr. Fisk, has no other way to influence political outcomes. Like I said, they're already disliked amongst their senior Congress members because they're progressive. They're already disliked. So what are you going to do? You're going to try to run candidates against them. By doing what? Making them political promises. I mean, this is giving them political favors, financial, otherwise. That's what Ilhan Omar was talking about. And anyone who, look at what happened to Cynthia McKinney. Hell, I think even George H.W. Bush got beat after he called out Israel. Like, it was like his numbers dropped because AIPAC started running campaigns against him, running ads against him. That's what Ilhan, Rashida Tlaib, and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is talking about. And AOC has probably been the least ferocious when it comes to critiquing Israel. After she got elected anyway, her critiques before she got elected were totally different. But all she said was, why can't we question it? And they're like, oh, wait a minute now. I know you're not questioning AIPAC. That's out of the window. I want you to think about something. Imagine if Ilhan Omar spoke up in a similar fashion to these people, spoke up and defended without prejudice Somalia in every single one of their actions, leaders or otherwise, the country, its leaders, and she defended everything that they did. She was introducing legislation specifically to defend Somalia. What do you think these people would paint her as? Hell, they're trying to allege that just because she is Muslim, the psychopaths, the extremists on both sides of the establishment are trying to allege that just because she is Muslim, that she has more allegiance to her religion than her job, which is kind of silly because she has not demonstrated that at all. But imagine if she said these things that they allege about Somalia. Like, oh, you are, I mean, to be honest with you, there are actual Islamophobes. There are actual racists in both parties. There is an actual CIA operation actively happening in Somalia. But if she showed allegiance to that country openly, in the fashion that these people are to the Israeli government and its money, she would be shredded. But even questioning for AOC, Ilhan, and Rashida Tlaib is garnering an effort by AIPAC representatives, by AIPAC affiliated members to spend money to unseat them. And they're being backed by Congress people on both sides of the fence. The hypocrisy knows no bounds. I want to give you a piece of this article. The New York Times actually did a decent job covering this. It took long enough. I just want to read you a piece of it. It's in the same article I was just talking about. Today, AIPAC boasts 17 regional and satellite offices, a gleaming headquarters building near the Capitol, and an annual budget so hefty that its chief executive, Howard Core, earned more than $1 million in salary and benefits in 2016. Traveling to Israel on a trip financed by AIPAC's education arm is practically a rite of passage for freshman members of Congress. AIPAC's secret has always been an impressive system of quote-unquote key contacts, local volunteers, preferably friends, community leaders, or former classmates of lawmakers, assigned to cultivate each senator and House member. I guarantee you that every senator who's sitting in office right now, including an indirect standoffish guy like Rand Paul, they've got 5 to 15 key contacts on their scorecards at the AIPAC office, Mr. Dines said, referring to the isolationist Republican senator from Kentucky. AIPAC activists say the work they put into building relationships more than campaign contributions is responsible for their organized success. Pause. The work that we put in. So AIPAC receives money, which allows them to organize, which allows them to do whatever they have to do as far as the organization. And it says more than campaign contribution. So you do campaign and then you are organized, but organization a lot of the times comes from money. In politics, is how it works. You cannot have a successful organization in politics without some type of money behind it. Even the Working Families Party fundraises year round because of that. So you're saying you do contribute to campaigns and you organize, which, like the article says, you need money to do that. So what happens the moment that someone disagrees with your stance? You use that money, that organization, those contributions to benefit someone else to get them out of office. It's like extortion, basically. But once again, God forbid Ilhan Omar, AOC, or Rashida Tlaib question that. It's crazy how every day it seems that we've been learning something new about AIPAC. And they've really been, this is, in my opinion, the most they've ever been put out there. And so I think it's a good thing because people are really starting to question what AIPAC is, how it's ran, and why they're going out of their way to seemingly cover up for all of the wrongdoings of Israel. Because a lot of people have never really paid attention to it. But now they are. And I think that, once again, this is a good thing. I think that Ilhan, AOC, and Rashida Tlaib will obviously overcome this effort because they're just so, they're very representatives of their district. And so if there was anybody going to take the heat for this, I'm glad it's them because I know they can withstand it. So I'm happy to hear that this story is getting more attention, more traction, even from sources like the New York Times. And I hope that this story continues to get attention because what's being done is unfair, and the relationship between our legislature, our president, even in the Israeli lobbies and their government is uncharacteristically unethical, and it's inappropriate. We can't complain about foreign influence from Russia, but not talk about the foreign influence from literally everywhere else. Thank you for watching that segment of Mi Casa es Su Casa. Help us reach our goal of 500 patrons. You can do so by donating as little as $1 by clicking on the Patreon link in the description below. Don't forget, join us on Roku and JustNForm. You can follow us on Twitter and Facebook as well. And remember, more than anything else, find your balance. Peace.